Got to get into it, man. G. Bush, Tyus, and Earl Pearl stepped in the kitchen and whipped up a pot of something. And they kept it real about this quarterback competition. Obviously, we see a bunch of clips flying around online of, every single throw. We hanging on to every single play. You got a bunch of people in the local Cleveland media who have been pushing, for a while now that, the competition is a done deal. The competition is not a real competition, just like last year's competition.
What if everything the Cleveland media has been telling you is completely wrong? Think about this for a second. There's a young quarterback in Cleveland right now. He's put in the work, he's earned the reps, he's winning over coaches, the people who actually matter. And yet, before a single preseason snap has been taken, before a single game has been played, a chunk of the local media has already decided the story. They've already written the ending. They just forgot to ask the head coach.
Pushing the fact that it's Deshaun Watson's job no matter what. Shedeur doesn't stand a chance. All of this stuff. And Todd Monken has come out and debunked all of it. So we got to get into it. Welcome to the Mary Kay Cabots and a bunch of other people in the local Cleveland media. They're hell bent. They're 100% sold that Deshaun Watson already has the quarterback one job in the bag. It's a foregone conclusion.
Here's the thing about Cleveland Browns quarterback conversations. They never stay quiet. The moment OTAs opened this offseason, the takes started flying. Social media clips, practice observations, rep counts. Somebody was out there literally tallying how many throws each quarterback took in a non-contact spring practice and using that as evidence. 21 throws for Deshaun, 16 for Shedeur, and just like that, competition over. That's where we are right now. That's the level of analysis being offered to Browns fans in 2025. Not from the coaching staff, not from anyone with real access to the depth chart decisions, just rep math. But here's what's interesting. While all of that noise was building online, while the headlines were being written and the narratives were being locked in, Todd Monken was standing in front of cameras saying something completely different, something almost nobody in the local media wanted to repeat.
That and Earl said that on UCSS, and it's just like, Todd Monken has got on camera and said, it's an open competition. We're gonna be flipping things around. Sometimes Shedeur gonna be starting off with the ones. Sometimes Deshaun gonna be starting off with the ones. Some days Deshaun gonna get more reps. Some days Shedeur gonna get more reps. We gonna let them battle it out. But it's almost like the other local media is trying to ignore it and spin it like, it's Deshaun's job. See, Deshaun threw 21 times, Shedeur threw 16. When they did the two spot, Deshaun was come on, y'all. Y'all can stop.
Monken has been clear, brutally, almost refreshingly clear. This is an open competition. Both quarterbacks are rotating with the ones. Some days Deshaun gets more reps, some days Shedeur does. They flip, they compete, they earn it. That's not spin. That's not bulletin board material. That's a head coach laying out exactly what's happening on his football field and trusting his audience to hear him. And yet, the Mary Kay Cabot crowd, the established Cleveland media voices, kept pushing the same angle. It's Deshaun's job. It's always been Deshaun's job. Shedeur doesn't stand a real chance. Sound familiar? Here's the part that should make every Browns fan stop and breathe for a second. This isn't new. Brian Hoyer versus Brandon Weeden. Brian Hoyer versus Johnny Manziel. The Brock Osweiler era. Remember that? Baker Mayfield versus Tyrod Taylor. Every single offseason, every single quarterback battle, the Cleveland media builds a narrative in May and June and acts like the season's already been decided. Fans get emotionally invested in the reporting, arguments break out, fan bases divide. And then, football happens, and reality doesn't always match the headlines.
To me, it is same game, different players. How many times have all three of us seen so many headlines and so much stuff written at this point of the season about whoever the quarterback competition was between, right? How many times did we hear this when it was Brian Hoyer versus Brandon Weeden, Brian Hoyer versus Johnny Manziel, or remember what
Brock Osweiler was supposed to be
the
playing.
Osweiler days, right? I can go Baker Mayfield versus Tyrod Taylor, right? There's so many different examples that you can go to as far as this time of year. You are going to have a lot of stuff that's reported to you.
The guys over at the Final Cut have been pointing this out, and they're right. Earl Pearl, G. Bush, Tyus, they've been tracking this pattern for years, and their message to the audience has been consistent. Be careful what you consume this time of year. Because right now, you're not watching a competition play out. You're watching opinions dressed up as reporting, and the difference matters enormously. But let's be real about something. The reason this conversation has so much juice, the reason people care this much about rep counts in May, is because Shedeur Sanders is genuinely interesting. This isn't just another backup quarterback situation. This is a first-round pick, a kid who came into the league with generational expectations attached to his last name, and somehow, against all odds, exceeded them at the college level anyway. At Colorado, Sanders was different. His pocket presence, his release, his composure under pressure, real pressure, not just scheme pressure, but cultural pressure. Being Deion Sanders' son in a media environment that wanted him to fail just so the story could be complete. He handled it. And now he's in Cleveland, and the same dynamics are playing out, just on a bigger stage with more money attached. The people who want him to fail are loud. The people who believe in him are louder. And somewhere in the middle, Todd Monken is just trying to build a football team.
Monken told all of us back in February that this thing is going to play itself out on the football field. When he makes a decision on who the starting quarterback is going to be, he let us know, hey, I will tell y'all myself who it is and who is not. So for me, after I've talked to everybody that I've spoken with who knows Todd Monken personally, how I've listened to him speak since he's been the Cleveland Browns head coach, the dude seems to be a straight shooter by all accounts. He seems like he ain't going to mince words. He ain't got no reason to hide anything from you. So if our coach then showed us that from the time that he's gotten here to now, then I got to operate with some sense of blind faith and blind trust.
We can't have this conversation without addressing the elephant in the room. Deshaun Watson has not played meaningful football in years. When he was healthy, he was special, genuinely special, one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league. But the injuries, the legal issues, the contract situation, all of it has created a version of Deshaun Watson that Cleveland fans have never actually seen perform. They've been paying for a player they've barely watched, and there's something uncomfortable about that truth. The Browns organization committed everything to Watson, and now there's a rookie sitting in the same building who might just be better right now, today. That's a complicated story for a franchise to tell publicly, which might explain why some voices in the media are so determined to protect the Watson narrative. It's not just about football, it's about institutional credibility. It's about a front office that made a historic bet and desperately needs it to pay off somehow. Shedeur Sanders winning this competition doesn't just mean a new starting quarterback, it means the Watson era ends with a quiet whimper, and not everybody's ready to write that chapter.
Here's where the story gets genuinely hopeful. Because if you've been watching Monken since he arrived in Cleveland, you've noticed something. The guy doesn't play games with language. He doesn't do the Kevin Stefanski thing of saying something carefully designed to mean nothing. When Monken says Shedeur has come miles in terms of his progressions, that he's getting the ball out faster, understanding concepts at a higher level, that's not filler. That's a head coach voluntarily praising a player he could have avoided mentioning. When he says Watson's athleticism is a superpower that's exciting to see, that's real too. He's not protecting anybody. He's not managing a narrative. He's coaching a football team and telling you what he sees. And for Browns fans who've spent years trying to decode coach speak and front office spin, that kind of honesty feels almost disorienting. If you've been watching this story unfold and you actually want to stay ahead of the noise, not the headlines, the real story, hit that subscribe button because this channel is going to be here for every chapter of it. So what's actually happening on that practice field? By all accounts, real accounts, not the rage bite stuff, this competition is legitimate. The reps are being split, the film is being studied, the coaches are evaluating both guys equally. Shedeur gets 5 reps with the ones, Deshaun gets 5. Next period, they flip. That's not tokenism, that's not optics, that's a genuine football evaluation.
And the people watching most closely, not the media, not the fans, but the coaches and teammates, they're watching Shedeur hold his own. They're watching a young quarterback learn, adapt, and improve in real time. That's what competitive greatness looks like before anyone outside the building is willing to acknowledge it. Here's the truth about where this is headed. By the end of OTAs and mandatory minicamp, this competition is going to start telling its own story. Not through leaks, not through rep counts on Twitter, through the actual quality of football being played. And at that point, the media narrative either catches up with reality or it doesn't. Either way, the decision belongs to Todd Monken, and based on everything he's shown since arriving in Cleveland, he's going to make it based on one thing only. Who gives this team the best chance to win? Not the contract, not the draft position, not the legacy of a trade that cost 3 first-round picks, just football. Shedeur Sanders didn't ask for this noise. He didn't ask to be dropped into the middle of one of the messiest quarterback situations in recent NFL history. He didn't ask for the skeptics, the media members with predetermined conclusions, and the weight of a franchise's sunk costs standing between him and a fair shot. He just asked for a real competition, and for the first time in a long time, maybe the first time in his time, it looks like he might actually be getting one. Todd Monken said, "The field decides." So, let it decide. Because somewhere on that practice field in Berea, Ohio, a young man is putting in the work that nobody outside that building can fully see yet. And when the moment comes, when the lights are on and the reps are real and the game is on the line, all of that noise is going to get very, very quiet, and only the football will be left.